Hello and welcome to Mingcast, where dreams come true and anime have values for you. I am your host Musaigen, and with me I have some of my fellow Mingers, namely Toasty.
Boy, Toasty.
And Dante Kirigaya.
What's up, guys?
So, the Mingcast is a podcast project we're launching as a remake of our seasonal review thread, but with a bit of extra flair, so to speak. To start out, we'll be doing one of these each season, and depending on the popularity and feedback we get from the community, we might decrease the time span in between the pods. We have a series of topics to talk about each episode, and we'll be swapping some topics out each time. For today's episode, we're having a couple of topics, which I hope you'll find interesting. At least some might be to your liking. For now, this is a test episode, or episode 0 if you will. So we'd appreciate constructive criticism to improve on the podcast and make it better for you listeners. So let's get started with our first topic. The first topic we're going to discuss is viewer's choice. Now for the test episode, all we'll be doing for this particular topic is explain what it's about and use the suggestions for the next one. Viewer's choice is a mainstay topic which is planned to be in each episode. For this topic, we'll have you guys, the viewers, leave a comment with what series you want us to check out and talk about on the show. For the test episode, you'll just need to leave comments on the SoundCloud site or the YouTube video or wherever you want to listen to this. But past that, we'll be taking the most upvoted comment on Reddit and choose that series. We will have a limitation of what series we'll be going with, however, as not all of us can marathon One Piece in between the two pods. The limitation is that we'll only accept shows that are 52 episodes long at most. This means that, for example, Gintama is not allowed due to it being longer. Ace of Diamond is not allowed either, as the first season is a lot longer. However, dual season shows like Oregairu is very welcome, and shows that go past 52 episodes in several seasons are also acceptable submissions. But we'll only talk about the season or seasons of the show until the point of 52 episodes. We might, however, talk about the remaining parts in a future episode. So leave us a comment for what series you want us to talk about in episode 1, if you'd be so kind. And that concludes viewer's choice. So now, before we get into our actual first discussion of the day, let's give you all a break of these boring explanations with some music. Stay tuned.
きれない明日も過ぎてって僕は今日もかきむしって忘れない傷をつけてるんだよ、もう君じゃなくさ
And welcome back to the Mingcast, where dreams come true and weeps gather too. We're moving into our first discussion topic, which is Show Your Shounen Spirits. On this topic, we'll talk about long-running shonen such as Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, or Naruto. This topic will not be a mainstay, but will be swapped in and out during the different episodes. Now, without further ado, today's topic will be Soul Eater. So guys, what's your take on Soul Eater? Let's begin by hearing Toasty's thoughts, shall we?
Soul Eater was pretty standout shonen because it wasn't as long running as any other shonen. It was like only 50 episodes, and it kind of had a different kind of style to it. It had like a Tim Burton-y, grimdark-esque style. I don't remember much of the story because I saw it back in 2012, but I really did like its cast of characters. They all had a lot of charm and big personality to them. Even though they did act like retards, they did kind of have like some sort of backdrop to explain why they acted all stupid and shit. I think I consider Soul Eater one of the better shonen, mainly because it kind of stuck to its core themes of teamwork, and it never really did run out too dry, except for the ending. The ending was pretty bad.
I did hear a lot of good things about characters, though mostly from like Glass Reflections or Arcada. He seems to be a big fan of Soul Eater too.
Yeah, I like the cast of Soul Eater. They had a lot of chemistry together. It's mainly because one of the core themes was being in sync with your partner, and they had to all work together, and they all had to be all useful to the plot. Like, none of them felt useless, like some other shonen, where characters are just useless.
Sucker.
Yeah, Sakura.
Yeah, it's all friendship, hard work, and victory, right?
It's like, it's the only show where Nakuma power only matters. Or actually mattered for once. Except the ending. The ending was pretty bad, to be honest.
I have a friend whose sister started watching anime recently, and apparently she really liked Soul Eater too. She even cosplayed the Maka.
Yeah, it's definitely a good first newcomer anime.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen the show. I've only seen the first few episodes, so I can't say I have a very strong opinion on it. All I can tell you is that I started watching the first 5 or so episodes, and it seemed super mediocre at the time, so I felt like I didn't want to sit through all those 50 episodes when there were still shows airing from the season that I could be watching. So it felt like sort of a waste. I might watch it at some other point, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worth watching. I mean, it's pretty easy to get through, like if you marathon it.
Yeah, I think I should at some point at the very least. Even if it's only to be able to say that I've actually watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of those shows I definitely recommend the dub over the sub, surprisingly. I mean, because I watched it when I just started out watching anime as well, and I thought the dub was really good.
Really?
But, yeah, I mean, it had a good cast of characters. Mika Solusad, Todd Habercorn, I think, Laura Bailey, like those people that get a lot of roles. But
it's Funimation.
Yeah, Funimation back in the day was really good.
Yeah, that's true. They've always been really good at casting their dubs.
Yeah, especially recently. Like, I watched the Grimgar dub, which was really good too. I mean, yeah, I think, especially like with the like the voices fit the characters really well. and the dynamic of the characters, especially the actors themselves, when they've worked together in previous anime. I thought they really brought it to Soul Eater as well.
Pretty nice here.
Yeah.
What did you think of the series as a whole, though?
The series as a whole, I thought it was really good. Characters had great chemistry. It wasn't too Nakama-esque, I guess. And I thought, even though the ending was pretty bad, but the series as a whole was really good. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I definitely watch it again.
Yeah, same.
So we reached something of a consensus that the ending of Soul Eater is bad, guys. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, I did manga.
Okay, so I suppose that concludes the Shonen Spirit discussion. So with us mentioning all this, we'll take a small music break once more and then continue onwards. So see you guys soon.
風と鳥たちが撫でる空誘うように眺めるれた全て頬を焼く日差し時の忘れに上がったあの冬に飛べたなら耳を澄まして始まりのビートがこの夢の羽を揺らした青を抜け飛び立てば夢中になれる何かにほら出会えるって奇跡ぎゅっと近づいたつま先で覗いた未来にそっと引くコントレ夢のライン
And welcome back to Mingcast, where dreams come true and waifus love you. Before the break, we talked about long-running shonen, and we're now transitioning into the main topic of the podcast, namely seasonal anime review of awesome. This topic is a mainstay unless we increase the amount of podcasts we're making. On this topic, we'll talk about the current anime season, where each of us mentions what their biggest surprise of the season, biggest disappointment of the season, and top 5 shows of the season is and why. Anything else related to the season may show up here too. So with the topic explained, I'd like to go to Dante to start out this topic, so go ahead.
So basically, the season was sparse, but not disappointing in the least. Like top one easily 10 out of 10 show again Rakugo Shinju. I'll try to be quick about it. I could talk about it like forever, but basically what it did well was characters, storytelling, and framing of the scenes. Especially the director just did really well with it. And Dean was on point this season, which is awesome. And like, if you want a good josei with characters, art and animation, and especially good storytelling, it's really good.
Yeah, I'd say I was pretty impressed by it.
Oh yeah, I did not know Dean could pull that out of their ass.
Yeah, same.
Alright, but second would probably be Haikyuu second season. Easily great follow-up to the first season where they left off. The last rally between Appa Jose was amazing. Oh my god, it was so intense. And, again, great animation. IG was doing great, especially with sports anime like Kuroko no Basuke, things like that. And good characters, developing backstories with, again, like enemy teams, opponents, did really well with that. And next would probably be, Boku Machi, which we're going to talk about later. Fourth would probably be Konosuba. Terrible animation, but it just made it 20 times funnier. The show was hilarious. Characters were absolutely amazing. Straight man playing off his party, which were completely useless, but they had their standalone moments, especially Megumin, which was best girl, easy. And probably last would actually be my biggest surprise, which I'm going to lump in together. Ao no Kanata no 4 Rhythm. Kind of disappointing as a adaptation of the visual novel, which I haven't gotten the chance to read because it hasn't been translated yet, which is translation mess. With I don't know who did it, but he lied about a bunch of stuff. But it was decent art, but it was really enjoyable with the main cast of characters, where the main dude in his harem wasn't actually the main character; he was more of a supporting character. It just, I thought it did really well with that, and even though the sports matches were rather short, which was kind of a disappointment, he was more the coach and bringing the other characters into their own, that sort of thing. And it was really nice. It was really enjoyable atmosphere, really enjoyable characters, even though they kind of had their annoying moments. But with the development they used and the short amount of time they had, which if it was 2 cores, it could have been a lot better. But with what they had and what they did with it was really good. In terms of biggest disappointments, the lowest scores I gave out were 3s to Sushi Police and Divine Gate. I have no idea how I made it through those. But biggest disappointment would probably be Dagashikashi. I mean, the art was really good, but I felt like it was missing plot and direction, and it was more catered towards the Japanese candy lovers and things like that, so it didn't really resonate with me, and I didn't really find it that funny.
I do have to say, it's pretty intriguing that you chose Ao no Kanata to 4 Rhythm as your 5th entry. I heard a lot of good things about it, but I didn't actually get to watch it myself.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not going into it expecting a lot of really deep development, then I thought it was an enjoyable watch, especially if you kind of enjoy those tropes like ditzy girl, senpai lover, and that sort of thing. Other than that, I've just been really hyped about the visual novel because I hear that's really good, even though it's rather long. But I mean, with what they did with it, the atmosphere kept up, and while the matches were kind of short, it was really good.
Might just get to watch it later and check out the visual novel when it actually gets translated.
I have no idea when it's going to get translated. It was a mess.
What exactly did that guy lie about?
Okay, basically, I'll try to explain it really quickly. He doesn't really translate, but he reached out to a couple people, and he was lying about how much he had translated. Like, he said he had the common route translated when he didn't, and he basically he had the Google Docs. I think he saved them for himself and didn't share them, and apparently he deleted the Google Docs, and I have no idea how because it's a cloud server, but apparently he confirmed the deletion and Google support couldn't get it back. So he lost everything.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was really stupid. But hopefully, because the visual novel is getting a sequel, which apparently doesn't really happen with the producers or something. I don't really know much about it. But hopefully, since it's getting a sequel, that means it's popular and good, so other, more reliable people will pick it up.
Let's hope. I'm still waiting for the other 2 sequels of Fruit of Grisaya to get translated as well.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to pick that up. I don't really read a lot of visual novels, but Alcana got me to actually be interested in a visual novel, which is really nice.
Yeah, the same happened for me with Fruit of Grisaya. I haven't actually read any other visual novel except for Clannad.
Apparently that anime was trash.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, at least in comparison.
Yeah, 'cause it's over a 50-hour visual novel.
Yeah, the visual novel is
Jesus.
fucking great though.
Alright, I'll have to put it on my to-read list.
I'm
still in the common route.
Jesus.
I'm actually replaying it right now and recording it while I'm doing it, and I'm going to put it up on YouTube later.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I suppose I'll take over for the topic. So, I'll start with my biggest disappointment because it's the one I have the least to say about. And my biggest disappointment of the season is Nagashikashi. Honestly, I didn't do a lot of preparation for this season. I didn't hear too much about any show really, outside of the sequels. But Dagashikashi was one of the few shows I did hear about and got interested in. And it sounded really good, so I was pretty hyped going into it. But it's a pretty so-so executed episodic slapstick comedy with no real redeeming qualities outside of being original in its topics, so it sort of fell flat for me. However,
Yeah, like.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna talk about like how Dagashi Kaji was getting really hyped up, like how they're hyping up. Oh, Hotaru's best girl, and Saya came in, and everything got all messed up. But I feel like they didn't really like live up to the hype.
Yeah, it felt like it didn't really go anywhere. It was just there to crack some jokes every now and then.
Yeah, but Saya was still cute.
Yeah, Sai was sort of cute, but I didn't like Hotaru as a romantic interest or as a developed character.
Nah, it was only like childish sort of antics, and that got me kind of laughing.
My biggest surprise would have to be Erased. I actually knew nothing about Erased going into the season, and contrary to Dagashikashi, I didn't start watching it until I noticed a lot of posts popping out around it, and I heard the opening a few times. And after I read its synopsis on Mal and saw the ranking and score, I figured that this show is probably pretty decent. So I opted into trying it, and I'll be damned if I wasn't surprised. Recently, we've had some really good hyped series. Examples I want to take is Attack on Titan, One Punch Man, and Erased. Attack on Titan is good, but it doesn't live up to the hype. One Punch Man lives up to the hype and expectations set to it by the community, but Erased surpasses the hype it has, and it's even better than you'd expect by listening to the community. It's made by A1 Pictures, so it's not a surprise that it's a success, albeit they do have some failures too. But I'm plenty curious to see how it's doing in Japan, because compared to the One Punch Man hype, I think Erased should get a lot more recognition than it's actually getting. So, moving on into my top 5, I'll list them in order from 5 to 1 and talk briefly about each one. But before I start, I want to give a brief shout out to Akegami no Shirayuki Hime, which almost made the list, but was just barely edged out by my number 5. Which brings us to my number 5, which happens to be Ajin, or Demi-Human. I think Ajin is pretty interesting. It revolves around these humans who regenerate upon death, and as such are hunted by society to become test subjects for various things. It's Atlantis who has produced it, which is the producers of Knights of Sidonia, so the animation style is very unique. And honestly, I like Demi-Human a lot more than Knights of Sidonia, and I think their growth in experience really shows in the anime's directive. What bothers me, however, is that Ajin has 2 episodes left, and honestly, I can't see how they'll close it out well, considering the main character's current mindset and attachment. So all I can see is really either a second season or a very poorly executed ending. Well, I'll keep it on my top 5 for now until it actually lets me down.
Wait, wasn't it done by Polygon Pictures, not Lantis? Lantis is a music label, isn't it? Or am I completely wrong?
I haven't checked this out in depth, but I checked out the Mal tags, and it said it was produced by Atlantis.
Yeah, it says the studio's Polygon Pictures.
Maybe they changed it. My
Yeah,
bad,
'cause they were
it's
famous
produced
for
by Polygon Pictures. Thanks for the correction, though.
Don't worry, dude.
Following that for number 4, I've chosen Haikyuu. So, Haikyuu has had its second season concluded and aired. The the second part of the split was pretty good and a very good follow-up for the first season, in my opinion. Initially, for the first season, I thought Haikyuu was decent, but nothing special as far as sports anime goes. But season 2 was a lot more interesting, with more development for each character. I especially like the training arc. I'm also a fan of how they used the characters on the Karasuno team, and how the team itself operated with the substitute players coming in pinch situations. I also really liked Kageyama and Tsukishima's characters. They were pretty nice, actually. I think Haikyuu does animation really well, which is a really important point for sports anime. It's something that I generally don't find as important as, for, say, for example, character development and story development, etc. But for sports anime, it's kind of different, because it sort of lives or dies on its animation. Third on my list is quite a surprise for some people. For some, it's probably not. Especially after watching the first few episodes of it. It's Konosuba, or God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. Konosuba is a lot like Danmachi in the way that its focal point is comedy, and it's about an adventure in a world where with monsters, where our main character is making a living by being an adventurer. What makes it different, however, is that Konosuba is purely comedy, and a bit of a parody with no romantic side plot. Our main character is a NEET who loves and excels at playing games, but is also a realist with no traits worthy of scorn, which makes the situation and people around him all the more absurd, which is what makes the show so hilarious. The witness of Kazuma combined with the previous experience and personality makes this show like comedy gold, and the characters and ridiculous plot surrounding him further reinforces that. If you're looking for a show with depth and plot strength, with intriguing values, this is not the show for you. But if you're just looking for a laugh, then Konosuba is the best this season has to offer. Albeit I do want to mention Niji Days is pretty good too. For my second entry, I've chosen Durarara Ketsu. I love Durarara because of its complex characters and well thought out advancement using said characters and interactions over strong plot points. Durarara is currently split into 3 cores, which is Ketsu, Ten, and Sho. And I feel like Sho centered around introducing the elements needed to finish out, while Ten focused around the build-up, and Ketsu was the season where shit goes down. So, in Ketsu we got to see a lot of Rochi, which is a character that got introduced later in the series. So I'm pretty happy about that. It also shed a lot of light on Mikado's way of thinking and how he does things. Having the main story focus around Mikado and the Blue Squares, Anri and the Saika zombies, and the Kujiragi Kasane and her enemies Izaya and Celti Sturluson was a really interesting balance in this season because of how very volatile it was. I really considered putting this show as number 1 simply for how good the second last episode was. It was one of the best episodes I've seen in quite a while. But I couldn't rightfully do so with how well I think they executed my number 1 choice. And my number 1 choice is Erased, which I think was a really good show. I won't go in very deeply on it, however, as we'll discuss it later, and I've already talked briefly about it. All I'll say is that if you like anime, then you should definitely check it out. And if not, I'm not sure why you're even listening to us, but I do appreciate that you are. Do you want to go?
Okay, so I don't actually like enough anime to have a top 5, but I have a top 3. But I'm gonna start off with the biggest disappointment was Erased. I can go into more detail why I didn't like that one later though. But my number 3 spot is Harchika. It's like a poor man's Hayuka. Most of the ass pulls, most of the mysteries are ass pulls, but I really enjoyed the character dynamics and interactions. felt pretty genuine to BQ. My number two spot and my surprise of the season is Konosuba. Like looking at the cover of it, it just looked like another generic gone to another video game kind of show. Until you actually watch it, it plays off the tropes quite well and create a very fun experience. Aqua is best girl, but my number one spot is Rakugo, which Dante said was his number one as well. Best character dynamics, best unconventional narrative, best scene composition. Honestly, we haven't seen an anime of this caliber since maybe like Ping Pong. I think it's one of the better anime that ever air. So yeah,
It's
it's my top three.
It's pretty interesting that you mentioned Harushika. I didn't
I
actually
really
watch
didn't
it.
like it.
I didn't actually watch it myself, but judging from the opening and stuff, it really didn't seem like the mystery type that Yoka was. So I'm
Yeah, I
pretty.
mean, I like the opening and the ending, which are really good, but other than that, I just really didn't like it. It's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
like
my-
the characters. You know, Chica was kind of B, and that one guy, the blonde gay guy, like
Haruka.
he was a dick, but him and Chica had like kind of this interesting character dynamic going together.
I mean, I like the character dynamics and everything, but I just really didn't like how the mysteries were presented and how easily they were solved without going into like a little bit more detail and character development throughout, rather than just kind of, hey, here's how it was solved, and here's how I solved it. And I didn't really like that because you didn't really get the development in between.
Yeah, I agree. They kind of gave you like half of it, then Haru just comes in or whatever his name was comes in and just solves the whole thing
Yeah,
at
that's
the end.
the only thing I didn't really like about it. I mean, plus it was kind of episodic mysteries, like doing that while the characters were introduced, and it didn't really. I mean, it had a little bit of music in it, which was nice, and I think they could have done that more, which they kind of did at the end. And you didn't really get enough of that. I mean, I knew it was basically it was more or less just a mystery rather than having the music as a backdrop. But I feel like if they could have blended it a little bit more together, it would have been really good.
Really sounds like an interesting show. I might just pick it up when I get the chance.
Yeah, I think it had like an average rating of 6.8 something on MAL. Like 6.54. Jesus.
Also, I have an unpopular opinion about the Konosuba where I don't actually like, per se, any of the female characters of the cast. I
Ooh.
think a lot of people will like Megaman, and there's also quite a few Darkness fans, I think. But I just feel like I can't call any of them best girl. I think they're pretty equal in level, but no one really stands out to me. They're just like really fun characters to me.
Yeah, half of our anime is going to be triggered as fuck.
Alright, so let's move on, shall we? Our next part is about Erased. So, some time to talk about what is widely considered the most popular show this season. Do you want to start, host?
Not me.
Yeah?
We're talking about the race now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let loose, man. Go for it.
Okay. So Erase, man, it's fucking shit. No, I'm just joking. But Erase, what I wanted from Erase was kind of like a Steins Gate esque type time travel story, but it couldn't deliver on that because I think the time travel elements kind of held it back. In time travel stories, I'm not like looking for like a lot of complexity in it. I guess kind of want like an explanation for the time travel, not just it being there for no reason, like in Erased was. We really had like no explanation for it, and it broke the rules, or the rules for it constantly broke with each episode, and it was just a turnoff. Then, what's it called? Another aspect I did not like about it was being called a mystery when it really wasn't. Mainly because it was kind of obvious who the killer was from the beginning. I mean, they did have red herrings in the beginning, but they went nowhere. And in the about the halfway mark is when it gets really obvious of who the killer is. And the way the killer was kind of portrayed throughout the whole series as he was this genius man, and in like the final 3 episodes, it just kind of crumples on that kind of setup and makes him out to be like he just goes full retard. So yeah, I'm fine with the other cast of characters. I'm fine with them, but I just don't care as much as other people do about them.
I would like to claim that the killer, whose name shall not be spoken, the killer, I feel like it's sort of acceptable how he turned out because of how they chose to use emotional play and his connection with Satoru instead of actually using logical thinking, so to speak, of where it wouldn't be caught. I feel like a lot of psychological issues with some people on. It feels bad to just plain out calling criminals, but that's where I'm going with this. I feel like a lot of people with psychological issues in those circles tend to think similarly, or at least around those lines. So I think it was quite a nice portrayal.
Wait, so you liked how he was portrayed as a genius, then a retard?
No, I
Like
mean,
his...
I mean, like he was. It feels like they were trying to portray a criminal who has some psychological issues and act upon them. Like, for example, that Norwegian dude who killed a lot of teenagers on an island. Anders Breivik, I think. That sort of person.
Are you drawing comparisons from real life?
I am.
I mean, I don't really know anything about Norway, but
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh well.
we tried.
I tried.
Don't worry about it.
Wanna go next, Dante?
Sure. I mean, I'd have to agree with a couple points that Toshi brought up, like how it was really obvious who the killer was, and then it got even more obvious because there was only like one person it could possibly be. But I thought I read the manga like when it kind of crashed and like the anime kind of crashed and burned around like episode 10, 11ish. I mean, and I thought it offered a lot more explanations and like as to like what his power was, how he ended up where he was around episode 10. I don't really want to spoil it, but I thought it kept up a certain level of intensity, even though the killer was kind of went full on retard at the end, and it kept a similar intensity when he was revealed, and even though the pacing got kind of off whack. The first half of it was really good, and I thought it kept up maintained a certain respect to the manga, I guess. And I was really excited to watch it each and every day, or each and every Thursday when it came out. But it kind of died down, hype died down, especially after the killer was revealed and everything that happened after that. Because I mean, I understand why they changed the events they did at the end to fit into that 12-episode constraint compared to the manga, but it was kind of thrown at you. It's like, hey, we gotta finish this, but we're still gonna make it good. Even though the animation, the OST were great, opening and ending were fantastic, it did a lot of things wrong compared to the manga, and I recommend the manga more than the anime, but either or, you still should read or watch it.
I sort of agree with some points you guys bring up. I do think it was pretty obvious who the killer was, at least by the halfway point or so. And I also feel like you're sort of right with how they actually portrayed him. I think there could be arguments made as the one I tried to make earlier for what I previously mentioned. But from a logical standpoint, it doesn't really make any sense that it turned out the way it did. Also, the last few episodes was pretty disappointing, especially in comparison to the rest of the season. But with that being said, I do still believe Erased is one of my favorite series from to air since 2014. So I think despite its flaws, it has a lot of quality in every department. It has a great storyline. It has a lot of plot twists and tension. It has a lot of cliffhangers. It has good soundtrack, great audio work, real fluid animation, and it's very easy and relaxing to watch. Really relaxing art style. But what Erased does best, if you ask me, is using its main characters. Now, admittedly, one of the weaknesses of Erased that I found is how it uses supporting characters, such as Hiromi, Airi, or Kenya. But the way the show makes use of its three main characters, which is Kaio, Satoru, and Sachiko, is really, really good. They play off one another really well, and through the various characters' logic and feelings, they can sort of control as viewers, both emotionally and psychologically, which I find to be one of the most fantastic things about anime, and one of the things I like the most when it comes to anime. I personally also got very attached to both Satoru and Kaio because of how they focused on them during the main part of the show. I also really, really liked how Satoru has this thing where he sometimes blazing the stage things he thinks, but doesn't realize it. And it causes really hilarious situations sometimes. I especially liked the one time where he claimed Kaio was looking beautiful in the classroom. Really put this huge smile on my face and got me to giggle. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really funny.
During the course of the season, we also get pretty attached to Sachiko, which is Satoru's mother. During the course of the season, she sort of develops into a very understanding mother, and she really does an impressive job raising Satoru. I think she might be one of the better mothers in anime, honestly. And I personally find myself drawing a lot of parallels between my own mother and Sachiko, and compare them in a way like, if we were in this situation, my mother would do this, Sachiko did this, my mother would probably do that too. It was really nice and relatable somehow. And it sort of makes her character a lot stronger, at least to me. I can really settle into Satoru's situation with his relationship with Sachiko as well, and understand how he feels during different situations because of my relationship with my own mother. I feel like Erased gave a very unique setting with pretty refreshing characters, and it had a real strong storyline as well. It had a clear objective, but I feel like it got a bit wish-washy at the end. The story still felt somewhat conclusive, and the animation and art wasn't outstanding on a consistent basis, but when they wanted to look good, Erased looked damn good. As said, though, I am a bit conflicted about the ending, so it's not how I'd like it to end, but I still think it's one of the better series in recent memories.
Yeah, it was definitely a standout this season. I just felt like, compared to the manga, the side characters like Kaio, Kenya, etc. became kind of useless compared to how they were. I mean, I hate to draw comparisons since we're just judging it as a standalone show, but even as just standalone, I feel like they could have had more of a role in solving the case towards the end. And it was kind of disappointing how everything turned out, especially with them. Like, it didn't feel as conclusive as it should have when Satoru came back. But that's just me.
Yeah, I wish they had more time so they could properly flesh out the characters and develop the story correctly.
Yeah, if they could have had just one episode dedicated to the killer himself, like explaining his motives, everything, like because the manga had like 1 or 2 chapters dedicated to him. I felt like that would have brought a little bit more light to him or her, whatever. But I feel like it could have definitely used like at least one more episode to do that.
Yeah, I feel like the show was really, really good as long as Kaio was involved. And,
Yeah.
And I really
I
look
agree.
forward to watching it every season, every week. But past that, it wasn't mediocre. It was a bit better, but it wasn't as good as previously.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. For now, we're going to mention some series that we want to talk about that we have yet to actually speak about. So to start this off, I'll go with Grimgar of Fancy and Ash. So Grimgar and Fancy and Ash, I started watching about 2 episodes into the show or so, and it felt like a very interesting show. It had like a bunch of no-good fighters having to earn their living by slaying goblins and improving during a longer period of time. And what I really liked about Grimgar initially is how oddly realistic the characters are in terms of accepting and adapting to their situation. An example I want to draw from episode 1 is how it hasn't quite sunk into them that they're actually in a do-or-die situation in this world. And as such, despite being attacked and attacking back, our characters are hesitant to use lethal force. It sort of captures the essence of how a person is brought up and taught in our world, and how they're brought up on the subject of morals and ethics. And I really liked how they portray that. I also liked how the show wasn't scared to kill off its characters, which made it a lot more enjoyable to watch. Another strong point was just how much potential the show had from its baseline. However, the show drops drastically, like there's a massive drop in production value past Manato's death. I liked that they used it as a plot point, and I liked how they handled the series in the following episode. However, the entirety of all the remaining episodes focuses on 3 plot points only. Manato's death, Haruto taking over as party leader, and the story of the new character Mary. Which seems pretty ridiculous to me, considering it still had 2/3 of the show to run.
Isn't that like spoils though?
I mean,
Spoilerinos.
it is a bit spoilers, but deal with it.
Okay. I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean,
Because, like,
well, considering one of these points are already closed and one character is given more development throughout the series, despite not being introduced before episode 3 compared to basically all the other characters in the show, it just adds on the ridiculousness. And I feel like the show did have a lot of promise, and it did sort of well. Like, it was mediocre and all, but it didn't really know what it wanted to do with the story past the spoiler point I've mentioned. So instead of exploring a direction and taking it from there, it just simply did nothing and stood still. I think it had the potential to close out in a decent fashion and sort of pick up the pieces, but it didn't really do that either. Although I did enjoy the last episodes, I don't think they were good. So
yeah, I think it needs a second season to justify that slow as fuck pacing.
yeah,
Like, especially like it wasn't as conclusive, but you know what happened to them at the end. I feel like it needs a second season, even though the animation just like even when they were walking, like it looked like Yume wasn't even moving. Her legs were moving, but she wasn't walking. That's how bad it got.
Yeah.
And other than that, it had promise, and I liked the atmosphere of it. But other than that, it didn't really do anything to justify why it was going so slow, why the characters were doing what they did, and I feel like it needs a second season. Other than that, if it just stays the way it is, it's pretty low on the scale.
yeah, I feel like it did have a lot of promise, but it just didn't do anything. I was like super disappointed with the fact that they introduced Mary and gave her a lot of development, but like the entirety of the main cast, except for Harire, was super underdeveloped. It was a real shame.
Yeah, I just feel like they were, in order to try to fill the gap that Monato left, they focused in on her because she was so important in replacing a character that didn't really get as much development, which was kind of stupid,
Yeah.
to be honest. I feel like they
Wasn't
could have
that-
focused more on the dynamic.
Wasn't that guy just there so he can die, so they can get like drama out of his death, so that Mary can just come in?
It kind of felt like it.
Essentially, yeah.
It felt like just like a
Yeah.
plot device, which was disappointing.
Yeah, I did like it initially, and it had a lot of potential, but I really didn't like how it ended up.
Yeah.
You guys got any shows you want to talk about before we proceed?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Toast got anything?
Let me see.
Oh, I'll throw in Kanojo to Kanojo no Neko, or She and Her Cat. It was like a 4-episode OVA short about this girl living in college through her life, and through the and we're just seeing her through the eyes of her cat. It was based off of like a 5-minute short that Makoto Shinkai did, I believe. Guy who did 5 centimeters per second, etc. And I thought for a 4-episode OVA, it was fantastically done, especially with like a 7-minute runtime per episode. I thought it did really well, and even if it was a bit longer, it could have like gotten a little bit more dramatic, more psychological. But for what it did and what it had, oh my god, it was really a standout short for me.
I generally don't watch shorts, but like just the fact that Makoto Shinkai made it makes me really interested in it.
Yeah, I don't think he had any. I don't know if he had anything to do with this 4-episode short. I can check, but I think he did a couple episodes. Yeah, but it was originally done by him. He was the original creator of it.
Ah, okay. It still makes me interested though. It's one of those few names that is like really big in anime, and it's someone that has made so much things that is widely accepted. So, like every anime fan needs to have seen something from Makoto Shinkai, from Hayao Miyazaki, from what's the guy's name? The creator of Paprika, Perfect Blue.
Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, Satoshi Kon. It's like the staple of anime.
Yeah, especially he's a huge name. And even though he didn't really have anything to do with this short, it was still fantastically done. I mean, leading films did, Psycho Boys, a couple other things I can think of off the top of my head. Like, Psycho Boys was pretty ridiculous. It wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, but I think they did really well with the short.
I'm glad Seco Boys was so short.
It wasn't like trash, but it was still pretty funny. It was just like so bad it was good, and like that sort of thing.
What? Like Sushi Police or something?
No, Sushi Police was so bad it was bad.
It was Japanese propaganda, dude.
Yeah, it was straight up. He has an average rating of 4.83. You don't come back from that.
Yeah, that's just devastation. Well, you got anything to us?
We can talk about Phantom World.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, it's like KyoAni at their worst. It's like they come off for making decent shows, then they just make up straight up trash. But it looks really good. But like the content is trash, but the animation and sound is pretty KyoAni.
I feel like they think at this point we'll watch anything they put out.
Well, I mean,
But I mean, it wasn't like Musaigen wasn't terrible. The last two episodes made up for it partially, but like you're going into it thinking it's going to be really good, and then you're like, oh, this wasn't what I was expecting at all. So this has to be bad. And then like when you learn that it's going to be shit anyway, then you kind of start enjoying it. And then the last two episodes were what should have been throughout the whole thing, which I was really disappointed about. Like KyoAni, like the bicycle helmet, like bicycle handle girl, I don't even know, had a cute as fuck voice, but she was an anime original character, and I didn't think she served any purpose, which was disappointing. But I think I haven't read the light novels, but apparently they're darker. I don't really know, but I feel like if they had adapted it better, or I don't really know, but like if it had been a little bit darker, more intense, then it would have been really good if it had kept the level of intensity from the last two episodes.
I really like that name though, the bicycle handle girl.
She is. She looks like a fucking bicycle.
Oh, is that Lolly?
Yeah, like the
That
girl. Whatever.
Teddy bear girl.
Yeah.
She had like the worst episode. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that whole episode when it's focused on her was so trippy as fuck. I have no idea what the hell was going on.
They could have took out that episode and everything would have stayed the same.
They could have taken out like half of the episodes and everything would have stayed the same.
Yeah, pretty much actually.
At
But
this
the
point,
animation was gorgeous.
at this point, it sort of feels like when KyoAni makes a new series, they have like this spin wheel, and they go like, okay, so what should we create this time? Spin
No,
wheel.
no way or no way.
Okay, so we're gonna make it about a theme park. What should the characters be like? Okay, 50 cents. Right.
I've never seen Magi Brilliant Park, but I don't know what it is. Apparently, everybody's named after a rapper.
It's
Like-
because the female main character is called Isuzu Sento.
What the fuck?
Oh, and then the main character is called Kanye Seiya, so everyone calls him Kanye West.
What the hell?
It's a pretty decent show though, but it's like the whole premise is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, all I know from it is like, there's this one gif is like, oh damn it, every outfit's a perfect 10 on me, or something like, simply put, we need to go looter. I feel like KyoAni wants to make a hentai, but they can't because of like certain laws. But if they made a hentai,
Dude, I'd watch that.
I'm
Yeah,
not
Of all time, dude.
alright, I'm Magi Brilliant Park, I'm gonna let you finish, but KyoAni's hentai was the best of all time.
well, I think that concludes the topic of our seasonal review. So, yeah, I believe we'll take a quick musical break for you guys to relax a bit and get ready for the next topic. So, get ready for us to advance into what I'd like to call a jewelry topic, and we'll see you after break.
君と見た世界さあ始まりの鐘が鳴る We are Varsity Man 無邪気に手渡された理不尽な未来を遊び尽くせる覚悟ができたかな時計の針も見ない心が刻むリズムだけ使用してみてよ弾むリズムフォーライスの中でこんなことを信じていいんだよ素晴らしき世界ほらまばゆい光のファンファーレ僕らといつも待っているんだよもうためらうことはないんだ何回だって欲張って全て手に入れるんだ You go on We are Varsity Man
And we're back in your hearts! The Mingcast, which is the place where dreams come true and teachers hunt you. You didn't expect that, did you? Either way, when we left you, we were finishing up our topic of seasonal anime, so now we're moving on to something much less mainstream, namely hidden gems. Hidden gems is not a mainstay topic, but a rather intriguing one as we talk about shows that might not be very recognized and we feel deserves for more attention than they're actually getting, either for the quality or lack thereof. Normally, we'll focus on a single series at a time. We will all have watched the said series, but since we have less prep time this time, we'll, for episode 0, talk about one series each, shortly starting with Dante. So take it away.
Alright, my hidden gem, it's talked about a little bit, but not as much as I feel like it should be. Namely, Aria. Easily in my top 5 of all time. Just absolutely fantastically done. It came out in 2005, and the animation quality didn't start out as great as something like Musaigen came out in 2005, and it was absolutely stunning for its time. But what Aria did with its characters and the atmosphere, like throughout the 3 seasons, animation, first season, basically world building, natural was character interactions, individual character development, and then origination just took it to the next level with animation, feels, and everything. And I'd say Akari is the best girl ever, like hands down, like only below my waifu. I won't get into, but
Oh man.
yeah, it's like it's on that level. But I just feel like it's a show that I'll put it weirdly, it makes me want to take a fucking bubble bath. Like, it's just so relaxing. The soundtrack I listen to like all the time. It was just really great slice of life that I recommend to absolutely everybody. Like, it's not underrated, but certainly underwatched and not talked about enough on the anime subreddit or anywhere else. And I'm reading the manga right now since I had a little bit of breathing room between when I finished Origination and Avenire or the OVA that came out like 10-year anniversary is just absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god, it's just I cannot praise the show enough.
I haven't actually gotten around to watching Aria yet, but I have seen a couple of clips from it, and it does look like it looks really good for its time period, and it's a pretty interesting show from what I've gathered. Also,
It's just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Also, I need to use that as the slogan for this episode. I want to take a bubble bath.
Thanks, man. That's the one thing we'll take away from this.
What's it called? I like Aria, but its episodic structure kind of holds me back from actually watching it.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like the episodic isn't really for everybody, but I watched like 1 or 2 episodes a night, and then kind of moved from there. So I wasn't binge watching the whole thing, so it didn't really ruin it for me. Like I did that with Musaigen as well. Like I didn't really talk about Musaigen, even though it's my favorite anime of all time, just because it's not like a hidden gem, because a lot of people know about it and it's critically acclaimed, I think. But Aria just felt like one of those shows that could like come close to matching it, but it's underwatched for what it is.
I think I might pick it up this week, honestly. I'm planning on picking up some episodic shows like Guardian of the Spirit and maybe Aria. Before the new season actually kicks into gear. Well, do you want to continue on the topic, Toast?
Oh, okay, yeah. My hidden gem is pretty underwatched, and I think it's one of the most underappreciated anime titles. It came out the same year as Code Geass, made by the same company, Zegapain. It was before Sunrise figured out they could just make explosions and tits. It was a much more down-to-earth series about philosophical topics. It's a mecha series, and it goes into topics that the mecha genre really doesn't go into. I don't really want to say anything about it because that's kind of the greatness of Zegapain is you go in and it kind of flips your expectations of everything on their head. It's like a slow turner kind of series. It starts off really slow, then when it hits, it really hits and really hits its mark quite well. It's definitely in my top 20 favorite anime of all times.
I gotta say, I don't think I've heard anyone talk about Sega Pain before. All I've had to go on is its opening that I watched. But like, I legit don't think I've seen anyone talk about Sega Pain anywhere.
Yeah, it's like real hidden gem status. Like recently they're gonna do a 10th anniversary special movie. It's gonna be coming out later this year. It's gonna readapt the series into a movie with like new scenes, which I don't think it's gonna be that good, but it could like garner new interest and it might get like a second season in the future. So I don't know. Just gotta wait.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're going to do a movie if it's like a 26 episode thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, they did like 9 Naruto movies or something.
Fuck Naruto. I'm sorry, but I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for a canon episode.
Rest in peace.
I like put Naruto on hold at like episode 360 of Shippuden, and I haven't watched since.
Yeah, just wait until it ends and skip all the filler. There's like 50 episodes of filler. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my plan. It's like eventually it'll finish. So, for my own hidden gem, I'd like to give a shout out to a show that might not be that rare, honestly, but I feel it's very underappreciated, and that is Hours, or as it's called in Japanese, Bokurano. Bokurano is a series I can't claim is unpopular, as I stated previously, but it isn't really widely popular either. I think it deserves more recognition than it's getting. To put things simply, it's a psychological deconstruction of the mecha genre. And I think something it does really well is using its timeline to its advantage, where it starts with a few introduction episodes and introducing characters, etc. After which it turns more episodic, focusing on every member of the cast. And towards the later half of the show, it turns into a more overarching plot with the background is framed and focused around specific characters. And I also like that it has like all types of characters in the main cast because of how large it actually is. It makes some of them slightly relatable, but as a side effect of it being a very large cast, no character really gets too much development, so they don't really stand out either. But I really like how they use the timeline for the show, and the way they actually proceed with the deconstruction is really good. I don't think it's on Evangelion levels, but it's still really good and worth checking out. It also has a very unique art style and animation, which is pretty solid actually, considering it's from 2007. And the plot twists of the show are pretty unpredictable and well made, so I recommend that people check it out.
Are you sure you want to go there with the psychological deconstruction?
I know, it's trigger hard.
I'd give that to you, man. Oh, buzzwords.
Deconstruction must be good.
Oh,
I don't know how everybody else looks at the deconstruction topic, but personally I feel like a deconstruction is something that takes the largely popular tropes from a single category, or genre, and builds them up from the ground to then just completely destroy them and go the opposite direction.
or it could be like School Days and take those tropes, amplify them to 1,000%, and then just fuck it all at the end.
Hey dude, you want to vote?
No. I mean, I've never seen Bokurano, but something like that sounds kind of interesting. Especially if it's a deconstruction, man. Gotta get
Oh.
behind that.
I get a lot of shows I watch from watching Arcada's. I've lost the word I was gonna use, but I really like watching Arcada's videos, and I usually check what he says about specific series that I have no idea about. And if he rates them highly and has a lot of good things to say about them, I usually check them out because I think he's a
Yeah.
pretty solid source when it comes to anime.
Yeah, like I watch anime every day, Kanata Effect, like channels like that. Even though I don't really watch things like Digibro, that sort of thing. Like I got a lot of like anime every day. They're underrated shows like Angel's Egg, Kyogemono, things like that that I need to watch. But like his video on cyberpunk anime, which I'm really into, I thought it was really good. Like Bubblegum Crisis, like other shows like that. That I get a lot of where I'm going to watch from him.
I feel like that concludes the hidden gem topics. So as per usual, we'll have you relax with some music before we continue onwards. But don't touch that browser. We'll be back faster than you'll get woken up by a Genki girl.
静かな眠り覚まってあげかなるタイマー鳴り響く銀座 Brand new day の始まりには祝福の叫びをあげよう好きなことばかりするのさずっとこのままこの場所で Yes I know no 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 僕らは
The Mingcast is back in your speakers and or earphones. The place where wifeys come true and dreams die for you. With the formalities out of the way, we're on our last topic now, which is studio talk. On studio talk, we'll talk about the studio or company involved in anime, and talk about what we feel like they do well or less well, and what we think about them in general. The topic is not a mainstay topic either, and will appear now and then on the show. And with that said, today's topic will be Funimation, the English licensor and dubbing company. So I will go ahead and start this topic. I think, well, to start off with, Funimation is a company that most anime fans know, and is one of the few distributors of anime in the West, which is a huge plus for us. And it's one of the few companies that holds legal distribution and streaming of anime in the West in general, since there aren't very many. They've also launched a lot of other projects, such as their secondary streaming service Hulu, or Funimation Channel, which launched in 2005 and has since been discontinued and continued a few times, with availability on digital cable, fiber optics, and DBS systems. As of currently, Funimation Channel is not running, but apparently there are plans for it to start up again during 2016. Also, their previous partner in this endeavor, Olympusat, will end their partnership with Funimation and broadcast non-Funimation titles on a relaunch channel called Toku, which, considering they're both American companies, I assume will be available in North America. Previously on the Funimation channel, titles such as His and Her Circumstances, the movie for revolutionary girl Utena, or Honey and Clover, have been broadcasted. And aside from the Funimation titles, Also, Grave of the Fireflies has been broadcasted on it. Something that Funimation is very known for among us anime fans is their excellent dubs and the casting for them. As a sub only watcher myself, I have very limited knowledge and information when it comes to dubs. But one dub that I did watch made by Funimation and that I claim is really, really good is the dub for Hellsing, where they casted Crispin Freeman as Alucard. And although in the case of Hellsing Ultimate they swapped the distributor every so often, they did keep up the same cast and it did start out as a Funimation dub. So I think that dub is really, really good and it's definitely worth checking out. But Funimation is not all flowers and honey. They've had quite a few disputes with BitTorrent users and partners of their company for breaching contracts and copyright infringement. A lot of this turbulence was surrounding distribution of One Piece, but in general I'm pretty supportive of Funimation as one of the few distribution organizations in the West, which is something I definitely think we need more of, especially in Europe because we have like none. Do you guys want to continue? Toast?
Funimation is great for the whatever they do. What do they do? Distribute anime and stuff. They're good with the dubs. I think most people don't like their streaming services because they have hard-coded subs. So that's all I have to say about them.
I never actually checked out their streaming services myself. I tend to watch things on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, apparently they have hard-coded subs, which everyone hates.
Yeah, the only thing I really have to complain about with the hard-coded subs is that it decreases the quality, makes everything really bright and nasty. I mean, they're switching to soft subs with their launch of Funimation Now, which I'm really hoping actually makes it the quality a bit better, everything a bit dimmer compared to like raw and fan subs and things like that. Because it, like Prince of Stride, when I was watching it this season, oh my god, it was so bright. The translations were off, and hard Chica translations apparently. I didn't really notice because I didn't really give a shit about the show, but apparently the translations were so bad it changed the plot.
Holy shit. That's pretty intense. Though with that being said, I can confirm about the latter show I'll mention, but the translations for the first episode of Ajin and apparently the translations for Raikensen was like really fucking bad. They made
that's why I didn't watch Raikensen. Yeah, that's why I didn't watch that show, Raikensen. And I'm waiting until Ajin comes out on Netflix to watch it.
I decided to keep watching Ajin either way. It fixed itself by episode 2, but damn, those first episode itself was amazing. Kept laughing my ass off.
Yeah, same things with fan subs. The translations were really bad, and I feel like Funimation should put a little bit more effort into their translations. Because, I feel like since they're a major licensing and distribution company in the West that actually does these translations, besides Crunchyroll and other fan subbers, they should maintain a level of quality because they garner a lot of viewers for like newcomers, and they make shows a lot more accessible. So I feel like they should maintain that quality, and I'm glad they're switching to soft subs, and hopefully that will increase their quality of translations and viewership.
Yeah, I hope so as well. It's really important for a company like Funimation to have solid translation because in the West, Funimation is probably the primary organization when it comes to anime distribution. So that means that a lot of newcomers to anime will be accessing their content. So it's pretty important.
Yeah, like I'm really glad they kicked in their broadcast dubs because, or their simul dubs, whatever you want to call them, but because it gives newcomers the access to actually watch airing shows with the dub, with people that don't prefer subtitles. I mean, I watch dubs, but I'm more of a sub person. Like, I watched Kekai Sensen when it came out, the dub. I watched Grimgar, the dub, when it came out. And I'm planning on watching Boku no Hero Academia when it gets a dub, because we all know it's going to get a dub. They pushed it so hard. but I feel like they definitely maintain that level of quality, especially when it comes to dubs. Like Fullmetal Alchemist was probably the greatest dub I've heard in a long time, probably of all time. And the dub for Soul Eater, as I mentioned earlier, was really good. And I don't, I didn't actually watch the subs for a certain magical index because I watched the dubs and they were great. Like Mika Solusad, Brittany Karbowski were some of my favorite dubbed voice actors, actresses, etc. But I feel like they definitely maintain that quality when it comes to dubs because that's kind of their niche. Like because they cater more to newcomers. Like Funimation was the one that got me into anime in the first place with their Funimation channel. Like I'd channel scroll and watch anime, and that's how I got to watching shows like Fullmetal Alchemist. That were my first shows. They definitely have that responsibility to keep me interested. In a sense, I guess. Like they managed to get me this far to making a fucking podcast about anime. But like I definitely think they kind of died down. Like in between, like after Steins Gate dub, which was fantastic as well, and now, which I think they brought up that quality with Kekai Sensen, and then they're kind of playing the level, like leveling the playing field when it comes to dubs. Like Sentai Filmworks is stepping in, Viz Media is stepping in as well with the acquisition of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Hunter x Hunter, which is getting a dub too, which I'm really excited for as well. But I think they need to step up their game a bit when it comes to subtitles because they're getting outmatched by fan subbers and Crunchyroll, which has acquired a lot of spring 2016 titles, which Funimation didn't really get.
I'm a bit jelly of you guys though. Like I keep hearing about things like Funimation Channel, Adult Swim, and Toonami and stuff. And then
Yeah, Toonami's pretty good, but a lot of their shows are long-running shows, which is kind of disappointing. Like Parasite is getting replaced by Hunter x Hunter, and they already have like Naruto Shippuden, One Piece, and other long-running shows that are taking it, and then they only have like Samurai Champloo and Parasite as their short shows, so they don't have anything else to fill with short shows. They only have like long-running shows, and now Hunter x Hunter stepping in with 148. It's gonna be a long ride.
yeah, we didn't really have anything like that over here. Never have
That's
really.
disappointing.
We had this channel we called ZTV, which basically ran, I think, Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, and One Piece in the like late nights on weekdays. And it sort of sucked because back then I was a grade schooler and I couldn't stay up that long, so I never got to actually watch it on TV. So
Yeah, that's what happened to me with Toonami. It was at like 12:30 at night,
yeah,
so I didn't get to watch anything.
so it was kind of a shame, but it's another part of Europe not having a whole lot of distribution companies. Well, I think that concludes the studio talk topic. Or do we have something else to say about Funimation?
Not really. I just hope they, with their soft sub introduction, that their quality goes up. But one can only hope.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's all I got.
Then that concludes our last topic of the episode. I hope everyone had fun both recording this and listening to it. I'd like to thank my fellow Mingers, Dante Kirigaya and Tosi, for participating in this project and lending their expertise.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I also want to thank all you guys who listened to us. Leave a comment with constructive criticism and a suggestion for next episode's viewer's choice before you leave, if you'd be so kind. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adults and kids, keep on weaving. We'll see you next time.